So what do you think of an artist who credits one of his boring school teachers for his talent and inspiration? Well, the artist in question is a PhD candidate at UT Knoxville, and he spent his life buried in books. Now, according to Rob Wiles, he's using that experience and the books to create art.
Books. Beautiful. Particularly in a beautiful place like this, the Lawson McGee Library in Knoxville. I mean, think of all the information in these books. Of course, these days, all the information in these books would probably fit on a jump drive, but books are beautiful. At least that's what Knoxville artist Daniel Lai says.
You'll often find Daniel Lai hard at work. He's a PhD candidate at UT Knoxville, but he hasn't always been such a dedicated student.
Growing up in Malaysia, as a kid, the teachers were so boring. And I hope there is a Malaysian audience in this, but I would sit there and fold my pages on my textbook. And I used to get into so much trouble doing that. So that's the first part of the story. The second part of the story, I've always made these figures interacting with other found objects, like wooden blocks and other found objects that are not books. And a few years ago, a friend of mine was getting rid of these books, and she wanted me to transform them into art pieces. So I decided to combine the two elements together, my childhood activity that I got into so much trouble for, and as an adult artist with these figures, I combined the two to reflect my relationship with books.
That relationship resulted in works of art using books.
My art actually reflects a lot of my nerdiness. Nerdy is good. And my relationship with learning, reading, and books is a big part of my art. And of course, recycling is too. But I make the art in a way that it is like a three-dimensional journal. Instead of writing down my experiences, I make art to reflect that.
Daniel Lai takes books, only ones being thrown away, and cuts and reshapes them into works of art, each one reflecting a story in his life.
There's this one particular piece where I use a stack of books that are cut right to the spine area, and I mount these books onto a board, and there is this figure in a thinking position. I call it the thinker. And one of these books were my GRE prep book. And I got a lot of satisfaction cutting that up and make it into art.
Daniel creates figures to interact with books and other found objects. He calls his character the Thinker.
The Thinker is a recurring theme where they are in a very contemplative pose and thinking about what they have read or what I have read. So I also make a lot of figures that interact with other found objects, like a key or an eggshell, and these things symbolize, and again, my relationship with knowledge. So the eggshell would be like when you read something new, the embryonic stage of the knowledge in your head, and it evolves into something else, it matures into something else. So the eggshell will represent that.
Daniel is quite the thinker in real life. An artist, he's getting a PhD in criminology. Yep. Well, makes sense to Daniel.
I've always been interested in social justice, equality, and things like that. And when I was pursuing art history, I saw that a lot within the art world itself.
So Daniel will be a college professor and an artist who loves and treasures books, even if his students don't.
Books nowadays have been discontinued, like the encyclopedias. And there's something about holding a book and reading it and curled up in a warm bed and just enjoy the reading. So in a way, books are now artifacts to me. So my art reflects that.
His students may not read, but they would certainly gain a new appreciation for books if they viewed the works of their professor, artist Daniel Lai of Knoxville.